Hello, I'm PJ Bishop, and welcome to my channel. It's the end of June, and we're sitting, looks like 3 games below 500, and that's kind of where we've been all month. We've either been up 2 games or down 2 games, now 3 games after we got swept by the Cubs. But for the most part, we've been hovering around 500, not straying too far out from either 2 games up or 2 games down. So we're pretty much that's the kind of team we are this year. I don't expect anything. I don't expect a surprise hot July that puts us in the running for a wild card spot. I think we're losing ground there. Where are we now? 4 games back here, so we're slowly losing ground there. I think it's just going to keep growing game by game by end of every single month until we're completely out of it. We're definitely not the worst team, though. I can tell you that. Holy moly, Pittsburgh in the 20s. That is terrible. But we're definitely not the worst. Well, we're not that good. We're struggling. Let's take a look at the lineup. See how the guys are doing. I had to tweak it a little bit, so we'll see if my tweaks helped anything or if it's making things worse. So at leadoff, third baseman Jordan Groshans. He's been nothing spectacular this year. Roughly average player overall. He's young, has a little more room to improve offensively. I don't know by how much more. So I don't expect him to be much more than what he is right now. He's a placeholder. He's a good bench bat, is what he is. If I could have him on my bench and not my actual starter, I'm fine. Although defensively, he's extremely solid. So that's the good part, is he is solid defensively. But as you see here, 690 OPS. That's nothing spectacular. He's on pace for a whopping 10 home runs, which is also nothing spectacular. So not a fantastic season. At number 2 is left fielder Brian Miller. Small sample size. Only played in 2 games so far this year, but he's got an OPS of over 1,000. But that's an extremely small sample size, so it's hard to judge that. So we don't really know what he will be until he plays a little more. So hopefully another month of some game time will see where he is better. If he can just replicate some of this AAA action here, I could be fine with that. Batting number 3 is Jazz Chisholm Jr. He's fantastic. He's been playing well all season. He's on pace for a 33 home run, 107 stolen base. So he's looking at 30 home runs and 100 stolen bases, which I'm sure is something unique. But that's what he's on pace for. He's an absolute stud. And he can play everywhere too. Look at that. We've had him everywhere, but we got him at center field right now. That's where we need him the most. But extremely solid, almost batting 300. OPS is 844. A real solid season. If you look at his All-Star year, the year he was an All-Star, OPS is nearly there. He was a little better slugger that year. But the on-base and average is higher. The average is much higher this year, too. And of course, the stolen bases, 52 stolen bases so far. And how many home runs? 16 home runs. It looks like he's hitting better. Maybe a few less doubles, but more home runs. I'll take that. But looking good. Looking real solid. Don't know if he'll make an All-Star this year or not. There are guys ahead of him, but he's hitting really well. And stealing bases. Cleaning up spot is first baseman Nico Cavadas. He's playing well. He's playing real well. 787 OPS. Again, he's a straight-up rookie that I got in a trade with Boston. On pace for 25 home runs. So he's doing exactly what you expect out of that cleaning up spot. If he keeps it up, he'll get over 100 RBIs. So that's a pretty good year. 25 homers, 105 RBIs. Batting around 250. Slugging 430 and OPS around 787. So it's really really solid play by a rookie who could still get better. At least his home run power can still get better. I don't see him improving much else anywhere else. But the home run power, and even the contact could improve a little more, which will help raise his average a little. So he'll be a little more dangerous hitter overall, but he's real solid for us. At number 5 is the ageless Mike Zunino, the catcher, who, even though I moved him, now he's specifically or strictly a right-handed matchup guy. But it's not slowing him down. He's actually, now looks like he's on pace to hit more homers than he was originally when I had him righty and lefty split. He's on pace to hit 25. This is why I signed him. I signed him to hit home runs, and he's hitting them. He's not really doing, as you can see, he's not really doing anything else. His average is 140. On-base percentage is 206. But he's hitting home runs and getting them when I need him. So I do like that. I do like that he's able to still hit home runs. If he does hit 25, it'll be the most he's hit in quite some time. Kind of reviving his career here. I knew he could still hit him. But he still plays really solid defense, so you can't forget that. And he has good leadership skills. So it's always nice to have a solid leader in the clubhouse. Batting number 6 is second baseman Jordan Westberg. Hasn't seen a whole lot of action, just 26 games so far this year. But he's looking pretty decent. 706 OPS, so that's average, really. The average is 276, so he's all across the board. He's pretty average, but I can live with that with somebody batting out of the 6th spot. It looks like he was a trade deadline trade with Baltimore last year, but he looks, I'll say, pretty solid for where he is in the lineup. And how was he last year? Much improved from last year in his little 16-game stint, and playing better than he did when he was with Baltimore. So maybe it's finally clicking. He still has a little room to improve, especially on the contact side of things. If he can get his contact up higher, and his K rate. So yeah, he still has some wiggle room to grow and improve as a player. So it's not like this is all we're going to get. There's still some room to improve, which is nice to see. Because if we can get this number a little higher, then he'll be a much more useful, aside from being a good utility. He's also a good utility player. As you can see, he can play multiple positions in the infield and the outfield, which brings him more than just the bat value. Batting number 7 is our shortstop, Ceddanne Rafaela. Again, he's a rookie, another kid from Boston that we got pretty much right around the season as it opened up. He's, again, one of those versatile guys, but he can play most positions at a pretty high level. He's an extremely talented defender. Looks like offensively he's not going to get anywhere more than an average to a slightly above average player. But the defense is where it's at with him. He's extremely versatile. You can put him at anywhere really, and he's going to excel at it. As you can see here, second base possibly 65, left field a perfect grade, center field 65. I'm sure he could do right field. What's his arm strength? Could do right field if he wanted to. I mean, he could put him in. He could put him in any infield position, and he's fine. Maybe not as much third base, but he's still pretty good everywhere else across the board. So really valuable. So you can't just look at this here with him. You got to look at the overall package. And overall, because he's also can steal bases and is a pretty decent runner and base runner. This year, not so much for us at 691, but he's still on pace for a pretty good year. Also, if he continues this up, 62 stolen bases that's a plus. A young kid still has time to improve and get better, but I don't know how good he'll really truly get. Batting number 8, our right fielder Jorge Soler, really struggling this year. in the average department, in the home run department. Just kind of overall not a good season. And I'm not sure how much more he's got left in the tank. At least, as far as I'm concerned, he can be a free agent and we'll let him go. I have no interest in re-signing him. I have plenty of outfield help available. And he's not even that talented defensively. Really not talented offensively. Aside from his home run power, he's got nothing else really going for him. So it's, I think it's time we cut loose with $9 million. It's a pretty bad signing. $9 million. I'm sure it looked good at the time. And batting on number 9 spot is DH Jacob Berry, who's not quite hit the ground running like he has in the other 2 levels this year. He's definitely slowed down a ton. As you can see, he was 1,200, 1,000, and currently at 634 OPS in the majors. Definitely struggling. His first taste of the big leagues is not going as we would like to have or hope for. But perhaps things are, if you see this, his last 5 games, he has gotten a hit in every one of those. So perhaps no doubles or home run. He did get 1 home run here. So not quite getting the nice ones that we like to see where it's doubles and triples and home runs. Also not knocking anybody in, but that also could be because there's nobody in front of him. So he's also did strike out the last 2 games, so we're starting to see some better play out of him. Perhaps he's seen the light and he's only going to improve from here on out. But not exactly the hot start we were hoping for when we called him up. But as you can see here, the last few games it's gone up. The average has gone up, so he's getting, perhaps it's getting better. Because he's not bad here. If you look here, for the most part, this all checks out. The discipline and the K rate will go up as he keeps playing, but I can't really complain too much. He's only been 1 month. We just called him up last month. And the pitching is okay. I like that my 3 main arms here are just absolutely crushing it. 1.59, 1.89, 1.50 ERA. So they're all really playing well. They're making it much easier to hold a lead. When I put my closer in, I'm not concerned that he's going to blow a save at all. He's playing really well, especially for a Rule 5 draft pick. This has been probably one of the best Rule 5 draft picks I've ever picked up. And he just gets save after save after save. Doesn't blow saves. Let's see right now. Where is he at right now? He's at 1.59 ERA. Whip's a little high, 1.45. The home run rate's pretty low. The walk rate is high, which is probably what's keeping the whip rate as high as well. Strikeout rate's pretty good. I mean, he's just real solid. Cannot complain. Let's take a look at our top prospects, see how they're doing. Because now we have every minor league is playing, all the way down to the summer leagues. So so every league is playing, so we got action all across the board. As you can see, we added a few pitchers. We're getting some pitchers up here now. As you know, I put a lot of money into developing and good coaching, so you're going to see guys' potentials improve as they get better coaching. And although we had a few guys drop their potential down here, Walker, Jenkins, and Sebastian went from, I think, 5-star guys or 4.5-star guys down to 3.5 and 3. So that could be a byproduct of them struggling in their respective leagues or just overhyped when they came in. It happens. As they move through the ranks, you kind of figure out where they really are. But let's take a look at some of the pitching we got. We got a starter pitcher here in High A, Alejandro Hidalgo. Another trade from Minnesota. So Minnesota's given us some decent little pieces here and there. This is pre-me trade, though. I wasn't here for this one, but looks like his stuff is going to be really good. If he doesn't pan out as a starting pitcher, A bullpen role looks like it could happen if his stuff can get to this high. If he can get up to the 70s with his stuff, he could definitely be a setup man. A little dangerous as a closer because I don't like these two being so low. But he's got a good 3-pitch mix, so he's definitely a long reliever worthy. So right now we got him starting. We're trying to develop him as a starter to see how that goes. He's not really playing particularly well, as you can see here. His ERA is in the 5s. But it's down from last year. His home run rate is dropped from last year. He's still walking the same, but he's striking out more. So he is slightly improving since last year. And then the other pitcher is Fernando de la Rosa. He is in the Summer League. Looks like he's getting better from his first start where he, my God, gave up 7 runs in 2 innings. 1 run in 4. There's a much better game. 6.2 innings of no runs. And then right back to the runs. So not really having a good first season as a professional. But things will improve. He's a young kid. 18 years old as a pitcher is really young. Then we have a closer, Austin Roberts. It's hard to call him a prospect at this point. He's almost 26 years old. And he did play for us to start the season. Just was playing so terrible. I mean, 9.17 ERA. Just terrible all across the board. He was walking more than he was striking out, which is kind of surprising considering that his control rate is not that bad, really. It's actually average. But nonetheless, we end up sending him down, but he's still kind of a prospect. He's angry, wants to play in the majors, but not when you're 9.17 ERA. That's just terrible. And he's not even doing that great in the AAA. He's actually doing worse in AAA, which is I'm not even sure how that's possible, but somehow he's doing worse. Got a win, save, blown save, and a loss. Not a good 3-game stretch there. First baseman, let's look at our AAA Robert Perez Jr. Kind of a disappointing season for him by his own standards. This is the first year he's really struggled in the minors. And kind of expect that considering his contact is really low and will always be low. He just looks like a future masher. So if he's not hitting in the 4 or 5 spot, maybe in the 8 spot, he's really got no value. Because defensively, he's atrocious at pretty much every position. So aside from his really good home run power potential, he's next to worthless as a player. And we've got other first basemen that are doing better now, like Jacob Berry and Cavadas. And then we got a young kid. That's still international complex, so he's got a long way to go. Third baseman, AAA, Yidi Cape. I ended up calling him up because he was playing so well that and he improved a lot. Honestly, if he plays like this for 1 more month, like I don't know if I want to call him up this year or not because I don't want to start his service time too early. But he's playing really well. He's improving quite a lot. He's already considered an average major league ball player. His contact is ready for the majors, and so is his avoid Ks. I would like to see his eye go up a little more before I call him up, and maybe even get that home run power up as well. So he can come in almost as a fully ready major league player and still be young. He'll still be 22 years old. And defensively, I think he's solid for third base. I think he can easily slide in and be the starting third baseman over Jordan Groshans. If I needed that. Can he play the outfield if I need him in the outfield? He could possibly play right field in a pinch, left field in a pinch. Would rather keep him off the grass and keep him in the infield. He's definitely got a home at third base, no doubt about it. Worst case scenario, we can always stick him in first, but that's starting to become a little crowded. So third base is his home. And it's a legitimate home as well. He's not bad at third base. But it looks like his bat will be the tool that actually carries him to the majors. Because he's having a really good season to the point to where I can't keep him down here much longer. So he's got to call up to AAA. We'll see how he does in AAA before we talk about any more about consider him for the majors, whether it's this year or next year, or maybe even a call up in September. So I'm not sure yet. It'll be maybe we can call up on his birthday. His birthday is September 17th. So I'm not sure what the plan is because he's kind of outgrowing the minor leagues, and I guess we'll find out how he is this month before I make any final decisions. And the other third baseman is Cooper Pratt up in low A Jupiter. I believe I also just promoted him because he was absolutely destroying it. 15 games, had over 1,000 OPS, a 400 average. That's nearing his high school numbers there. So even though skill-wise he is not that good, it could be just because we're underrating him, and he's actually better than that. Because the scouting accuracy is average, so he could be better. But even though his ratings don't show it, he is hitting way, way, way above the level. And that was the Florida complex. So we moved up to full season low A ball. And we'll see how he does there in Jupiter. So third base is getting some nice. How he's actually defensive. He's a real solid defender. Could possibly play second if we need him. I was in the no outfield. Okay, so it's just strictly infield. And then our shortstop in high A, we have Khalil Watson. He's kind of going through an injury right now. Judging by the way he's playing, I think he'll finish the season out in high A and start next year in double A. Still a good ways away offensively before he's ready for the majors, but defensively he's real solid. Would almost be a starter on defense, I think, like right off the bat. I'd still like to see him develop a little bit more on the offensive side. Since he can still do it, there's no point in rushing him up. And we have plenty of shortstops right now. And then Phelan Celestian over at the Dominican Summer League. I think he went from 5 stars to 3.5, which is unfortunate. But he's playing well right now in this summer league. He's got an 852 OPS, which is nice to see that he improved from last year's 643. But long way to go. No need to rush him. Plus, we got Khalil ahead of him. We got Rafaela as well in the majors right now. He's an excellent defender. So there's plenty of guys that can play shortstop for us. We don't need to rush or be overly concerned. Let's move on to the left field. These two are international. And here's high A Jack Hurley. Playing really well. Playing extremely well. He could show me another month like this. There's possibility of him being called up to double A. But he could also finish up the year here at high A and then start next year in double A. Just kind of gradually moving up a level every year. But was he? I think it was a college bat. He was a college bat. They typically progress a little quicker. So he could very well be double A by the end of this year. We'll find out. We'll see how he plays. It's definitely despite being in a higher league, he's definitely playing much better than last year's low A ball. And who else do we have? Right fielders. In low A, we have Walker Jenkins. As you can see, his overall potential did drop because of all this stuff here did drop. So it's not looking as good. But I did call him up from the Florida Complex League because he's hitting pretty darn well. He got 988 OPS in 15 games, so he's showing that he can play at this level. So this could be wrong as well. Actually, no. Scouting accuracy is very high. So this should be extremely accurate. But whatever it is, he's playing really well, and we'll see how he does in low A full season ball. And then the other guys in the summer league, we have Jose Gerardo. Not particularly doing great. I think last year he actually played better. So kind of a down year, really, compared to last year. But it's still early. We'll see how he finishes. But he's doing worse than he did last year. It's not a good sign. And then Sebastian Walcott, currently hurt. He'll be out for the entire month, so we're not going to see much here. Other than that, he is playing better than last year in 13 games so far. Again, but not great, just okay. Unfortunately, we won't get to see him this coming month, as he's out for the entire month. So that's it for the prospects. It's a good-looking list, up to 16 now, with maybe one more player knocking on the door to be in the big leagues, the third baseman, Yiddy Capi. He'll end up taking Jordan Groshen's spot. I think he could instantly come in and take the spot. Not that he's playing terrible, he's just not playing great or anything like that. So that's it for this video. The next one will actually be going over our draft, because that's coming up in 11 days, July 11th. So when I complete the draft, we'll come in and we'll go over the recap and see who I drafted. I'll have to probably nerf myself and not draft all really good players and try to just draft a well-balanced, filling out my organization kind of draft. So that's it. I'll see you at the end of the draft.